things anywhere else.
Yeah.
You're sort of aware, you're there and you sort of kind of go, well, you know, everyone else thinks this is great, but actually it's a bit boring. Well, no, the Oscars aren't.
Right.
They really are everything you could ever imagine.
Could you smell Jack Nicholson's aftershave or whatever?
I was very close to Jack Nicholson's aftershave. Although, bizarrely, my dad is a Jack Nicholson lookalike. So
What?
yeah, that's his job. That's what he does.
Your father's job is to be a Jack Nicholson
Yeah.
lookalike. Do you make a wage from that?
Yeah, he goes all around the world.
Does he do the voice as well?
He has a go. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to see a Lakers game, the basketball team, which Jack Nicholson is a huge fan of, and I was sitting 3 rows behind Jack Nicholson. So I got my phone out, obviously, took pictures of him from behind.
Of course you did.
And immediately emailed them to my dad, and my dad texted me back going, is he as good as it gets, or is he as good as me?
Wow. So, I mean, forget the Oscars. Tell me about being a Jack Nicholson lookalike.
Yeah, I've grown up in a house with...
What, even when you were young, he was doing that?
No, he suddenly started to look like him when the first Batman film came out, and he was the Joker. And there was a thing in the paper going, do you look like the Joker? And suddenly people came up to my dad going, you really look like Jack Nicholson. And he thought it was Jack Nicklaus, the golfer. He'd never heard of Jack Nicholson. And,
He'd never heard of Jack Nicholson?
Never heard of it.
Does he live in a hole?
Such a loud speaking voice, I think he drowns out the rest of the world.
Right,
my dad.
right.
So it hadn't got through to him. So then I had to educate him in the ways of the Jack.
Yeah.
And then I used to have to put makeup on him to make him look like the Joker and take pictures, send them in. He got agents. Then he started working all around the world. And he had to go to Germany for the premiere of Batman at Germany. And when he got off the plane...
they couldn't fly out Jack Nicholson, so they got him instead.
When he got off the plane, they said to him, Jack was supposed to be here, but he couldn't make it, so you're not going to be a lookalike. You're going to be Jack Nicholson.
What, and they made him pretend?
They made him pretend to be JackNicholson, yeah. And he ended up doing a radio interview as Jack Nicholson.
That's extraordinary.
Being a lookalike.
Yeah.
And there are so many stories I could tell you about. I mean, it would be a whole week-long radio interview.
So he tried to do the radio interview with the voice of
This
Jack.
was really early on as well, yeah. And in between, in one
Did
of the
he
breaks,
have the Welsh voice?
Well, it's sort of like doing the kamikaze impersonation.
Yes.
He has a very Welsh voice. He sounds like this, my father. Hello, Michael, how are you? And then, so when he turns into Jack, it's sort of like Jack Nicholson. No. What he lacks in specificity, he makes up for in commitment.
In passion.
Yeah.
Wow, well, I think we'll all be looking. Is there a way we can check his face out on the web?
You can go on the web, yeah. Just put in, his real name is Myrick Sheen.
Right.
But if you just put Jack Nicholson lookalike, I'm sure you'll find it.
He's like a #1 Jack, because they have sort of awards and everything, don't they?
Apparently there's another one in Britain, and my dad said that he met him once. He was walking into an audition where there were loads of lookalikes there, and he'd never come across this guy before, and he opened the door, and
we've just found a picture of him on the web. That is remarkable.
Looking at a picture of my father, and he met the #2 in Britain, Jack Nicholson lookalike, and my dad said, I played it very cool. I said, oh, hello, I've heard a lot about you. I've tried to put a few jobs your way, actually.
Wow.
The picture we're now looking at is a picture that I took myself and had to make him up and make him look like Jack in The Shining. That's him. That's him outside my house in Port Talbot.
That's fun. That's fantastic. I urge everyone to check out the pictures of Michael's father.
In a related story, because my dad always refers to his friends as their lookalike names rather than their actual names, so he'll be on the phone, he'll be saying, yes, I'm going to call Joan Collins now. I'll have a word with Sean Connery later. And there's a lot of that going on. I actually met, for the first time ever, a couple of weeks ago, Anthony Hopkins, who comes from the same town as me in Port Talbot. And I walked into a restaurant in LA, and in fact it was a Greek restaurant. It's got nothing to do with the story, but I'm giving you a bit of detail.
Yeah, why not?
Just so you're there.
What did you have? Some hummus?
Yeah, I had a bit of hummus. Yeah. And Anthony Hopkins sitting there. And as Anthony Hopkins is talking to me, all I can think of is the guy who's his lookalike from Port Talbot. And Anthony Hopkins mentioned Sean Connery, and the first thing I thought of was Hugh from Glenneath, who's my dad's best friend, which brought me into a whole weird world of lookalikes.
I think we're going to have to probe more about lookalikes after we've heard a bit more music. Here's a tune that I thoroughly enjoyed this year from a band that I discovered, Lonely... I didn't discover them, but for me, I discovered them. Lonely Deer, and here's a track, I Am John.
Johnny and I, we got lost tonight, we got carried away. It takes someone like me to lose track like that and be trouble down. A heart full of plans, but nowhere to run. There were 17
Ferry Munch and Push from September. It's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, with me, Steve Merchant, and my gang here. We are on tape. Do not email or text in. We are not here live in the studio. We're off still playing with our Christmas treats. New Year is when? Tomorrow? End of tomorrow?
New Year's Eve tomorrow.
New Year's Eve tomorrow, yeah. Midnight tomorrow. Is it 1 minute past midnight, or is it midnight itself?
No, midnight.
Midnight tomorrow. Enjoy that, people. I hope you're having a wild old time. If you're listening to this on the listen again at 10 minutes past midnight, then I hope you're having a great new year. Anyway, it's all about music of the year, and I obviously am angling for the belated Michael Parkinson's show on ITV, and obviously I've got a series of guests. We've already enjoyed Michael Sheen's company, and of course Super Posh Rufus. Let's talk now to Sammy. Sammy, let's go back to the beginning. You are from the north.
I am.
You're very young.
I am.
What would you say, what's your job?
I've got so many. Just to be happy and entertained generally across all aspects of different jobs. That's probably... How many have I got now? Can we class this as a job?
Yes.
Let's say so. The call centre fandangling, acting, of course.
Yep.
That's about it now, I think. I'm not quite sure.
What was your first acting job?
Biker Grove.
Biker Grove.
That was my first proper acting job.
Now, I've never seen Biker Grove. It looks a bit too adult for my tastes. A bit too, lots of young people being naughty and running amok. I suspect people took drugs, did they, in it, and got pregnant?
There was some pregnancy, yes. Not me. I was a vegetarian who did yoga, who had a band called Dog Death.
Really? Dog Death?
Dog
That's
Death.
pretty
They
hardcore
were
for a
my
kids'
band,
show.
yeah.
Biker Grove ran for 27 years, didn't it? It seemed to be on forever.
18,
19 years. And were you popular in it?
Not really, no. I'll be entirely honest. I didn't have a very nice character. She was a bit of a bitch.
Right.
So I wasn't very popular, but it tended to be the boys who were.
Yes.
Because teenage girls don't fancy girls, generally.
Did you meet PJ and Duncan as they were then known?
Nah. I haven't met them. And it really makes us quite upset because I'd love to meet them. But they own a bar in Newcastle and everyone else seems to have met them but me.
You obviously have a family. Your father, from what we understand, is a mental case.
I think that's fair to say, yes.
Yeah.
He is a man of shortish stature. I think he's smaller than Tiny Dan. He has hair almost as long as mine, a moustache, a golden earring and cowboy boots.
He is extraordinary.
He spreads himself thinly across many a trade. Master of all, I'd like to point out.
Yes.
And he's a bit odd, yeah.
Sammy, let's come bang up to date. What's the highlight of your year been?
Probably the amount of jobs I've had. I started off the year working... I can't say the company name. Oh, I could. You could blank it out. I worked for doing house parties for famous sex company. I can probably say that.
A famous sex company?
Sex toys and naughty underwear.
Oh, I thought you meant a brothel of some kind.
Not a brothel, no. So I did a few parties doing that, and that was without doubt the most horrendous thing I've ever done with any evening ever.
Oh, is that where you've got to go to a house with
I've got
like
to
a
go to a
suitcase of naughty
things and sell them to
Yes.
oldish women that just seem to get into a frenzy. If it's like a feeding
bison at a watering hole?
It was, it's scary. The first one I did, I was actually scared.
Yes.
And we played a game where you had to take your bras off, and the size of some of those cups was just baffling.
What kind of... Forget, Michael, your impressionist game. That sounds like a hell of a... What kind of game do you have to take your bra off?
I could... no, I might.
Go on, tell us.
Right, do you want me to do it rather than tell you?
Oh, please do.
Okay,
Please,
all right.
Please do.
It's called bra rodeo, and you've got to get your bra off as quickly as you can under your clothes.
Okay, go. We're timing. Are we timing?
Oh, please don't now, because you put us on the spot. Right, I'm going to do this. I won once as well.
Okay, so for those of you at home, Sammy is fiddling around with herself.
I think you've got mine and Dan's highlight of our year coming out.
Yay! That's impressive. That really is impressive. I don't know if anyone was keeping time. How much?
16.
16 seconds.
Fully clothed, I think.
That's still fully clothed. Put it back on again.
That's impossible. And that was the thing. I did it at the first party, full of these massive women, and there was like, they said, oh yeah, put your bra back on kind of thing, and they all just looked at each other like, no, I really need to put it back on or something horrendous might happen.
Sure, yeah.
I'm going to knock furniture over.
You're gonna topple
might
over.
knock you out. So
Yeah.
they all had to disappear for about half an hour and put their bras back on.
Half an hour.
Proper scaffolding.
You were just sat there with a
Stuffing it all back
suitcase of
in.
dildos.
Incredibly
How am I going to fill half an hour?
So yeah, that wasn't the highlight of the year. The highlight of the year was probably getting this, to be honest.
Really?
I've never been happier. I got the call on Easter Sunday to say that they got my CD and that I was going to come on the show and talk for a bit, and I got very excited. And then when I found out I had the job, I burst into tears and danced all around my house.
With your bra on?
I can't quite remember, to
Sure.
be honest. My underwear status at any time is negligible.
Sure.
Negligible.
Negligible. Oh, come on! That's dynamite.
Steve, I think you can be very proud that the hunt for a Shijay was to kind of balance out the male-female ratio in the studio, and we've managed to trick a girl into taking her bra off on air in the shortest time possible. That's what we've achieved this year.
This is brilliant, isn't it? You're absolutely right. We were trying to make this seem like it wasn't just a lad's locker room after a football match. This is exactly what it's like.
It's exactly spot on, yeah.
Brilliant. If you are a woman and you'd like to go into the studio and take up that challenge, 16 seconds is what's
I'm
to
sure I could
beat.
get it down if I wasn't wearing such awkward layering.
Yes.
Let's see if I can beat that in the new year.
We'll see. Yes, when we come back, we'll see how you get on with that. Well,
And if I wasn't trying to help you as well, I'm sure you could do it
It was a
quicker.
hindrance and nothing else.
well, it's very sweet that this has become a highlight for you, and I wish we could pay you. But
On some level, Steve, so do I.
yes, I can imagine
But
so.
that's fine.
And thank you very much indeed for everything you've contributed to the show.
Mostly baked goods, to be fair.
Largely baked goods, but
That's
also some anecdotes, and of course great music, and that's what I'm asking from you now. What was your musical choice of the year?
I didn't choose this year. Jude chose it, and I got the album off her because she chooses excellent music. And this is probably my standout track of the year, and it's "Suffer for Fashion" by Of Montreal.
We just want to emote till we're dead. I know we suffer for fashion or whatever. Let's do it together. Let's go together.
Suffer for Fashion of Montreal, the choice of Shijay Sami, and thank you very much indeed for everything you've done this year. To all of you here in the studio, Michael, obviously, thank you for your acting work, and the rest of you, whatever it is you've done this year. I don't know, we've got time for personal interviews with both you and Harry and Dan, so maybe you could be one unit.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, one sort of combined unit. Dan, what was your tiny achievement of the year, your highlight of the year? Maybe a droll thing you read in the paper.
Yes, possibly. I'd be quite happy to take a sideways look at
Please do.
a newspaper article. Although, personally, I managed to begin living with a woman for the first time ever.
That's right.
Obviously, at the expense of living with you.
Yes.
So, I don't know how I feel about this. Mixed feelings, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, some good, some bad.
how's it panning out with the lady?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm happy to discuss my relationship on air. That's no
Yeah.
problem. It's fine. We're okay. We haven't had any significant rows as of yet. Although, I say that, we might have had a massive one over Christmas.
Sure,
And
almost
split
certainly.
up. Who knows? It could be hell round
Yeah.
my place now. I might be sleeping back with you. Not sleeping with you.
Sure.
Sleeping back in your place.
Yeah, you could well be at my house,
Yeah.
having a miserable time tomorrow night, New Year.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun, is it?
Oh,
Single again.
never mind. I'll tell you one of my news story highlights of the year. Just suddenly came to me. The incident you may have read about where Jonathan Creek star Alan Davis bit a homeless person. Now, you, Michael, were out of the country. You may not be familiar with this.
Please fill me in on this.
Alan Davis was in the papers. Now, I'm assuming there was some truth to it because he seemed to comment on it, and he bit a homeless man. Apparently, now he claimed that the homeless guy had been a bit sort of rude, and the homeless guy just said, "No, I just said hello, Jonathan Creek." And Alan Davis, who'd been drinking all day because he'd been at a funeral, bit the homeless guy. Now, in my mind, the homeless guy had a top hat with the lid sort of, the top of their hat sort of floating off, and a kind of a little knapsack which he dropped as Davis lunged for him.
Are we talking sort of Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield?
Yes, I think so. I
Ears
think it
coming
was
off,
on the
that
ear. I
kind
think he bit him on the ear.
13 seconds he was holding on. One of the best things about it is all the newspapers, most of the newspapers said, Alan Davies, a vegetarian.
yeah. But what I liked about it was the fact that surely the last person you would bite is a homeless person. Who knows what they've got? Either you don't know where they've been, well, you do know, and it's probably somewhere unpleasant. They might have,